Hey, what's up? I'm Alex Anderson, Certified Sommelier at Good Pear Days, and today we're going to talk about one of the most famous winemaking techniques, the use of oak. Oak has been used in winemaking for a very long time, and for very good reason. It's because oak naturally, just like other woods, contains plenty of chemicals. Chemicals that allow different flavors and aromas to come out when paired up with wines, as well as tannins to add complexity. So when you use oak, you can look for more flavors like vanilla, toast, nuts, sometimes even coconut. And this is all coming from just the wine being inside of an oak barrel. The more time spent with that, the more of those flavors you're going to get. It also has some tannins. And because oak is porous, it allows some oxygen to permeate through the barrels, which can then also soften and round the whole mouthfeel of a wine that's been aged in oak. So when it comes to oak, there's a few different really important things to consider. One is the age of the oak. Is it new oak or is it old oak? Because new oak has way more flavors and those chemicals and those tannins to contribute to the wine. Whereas an old oak, which would be something that maybe has already had wine in it for about 7 years, which would be 7 vintages, has less to give because it already kind of gave it over each of those other vintages. So it's much more subtle. Maybe you're not getting as much flavor, but you'll get a little bit more texture, that kind of thing. You might hardly even notice it when you're drinking a wine with old oak. The next thing you want to think about is the size of the oak. So we're talking big oak vats or a nice little oak barrique. So if it's a nice big vat, we're looking at the surface ratio of the wine to the oak. So how much wine is in contact with the oak directly? Because when you're with a big vat, you've got all this wine in here that doesn't even know that there's oak just on the other side of this wine here that's right up against it. So that's a lot. So there's going to be less oak influence. Now, when you have a nice small barrique, so 225 liters, this is not to scale, obviously, what you're gonna see is more oak impact because more of the wine is directly against the oak there. The other thing you want to consider is how long the oak spends with the wine. So is it just a short little spell of oak, where it, of course, is just gonna have less of a nuance, or is it spending a long time in oak where it's really getting all of these oaky flavors because it's just steeping with it, right? So you want to think about that as well. Now, do you pay more for wines that are oaked? You betcha. An oak barrel is very expensive for a winery. And not only that, but it also takes up a lot of storage space in the winery, which means that there's less space to make more wine to make more money. So instead, they're just waiting on these wines to finish their oak regime so that they can finally sell them to get cash for all the hard work they've been spending growing their grapes all year round. So, yes, but there are some alternatives that can still give some oak influence without it being quite as expensive. Things like oak staves, which are just the staves that would have been used to make the barrel. You can just take those off. They have all the same compounds that the barrel does. It's just less of them because it's not a full barrel. And you can add that to the wine to add complexity. You could also use oak chips. Now, oak chips would be like a stave that's just chopped up into little bits and thrown into the wine or stirred around with the wine, and that also can give some of those flavors. Of course, these are all sequentially less expensive and lower in quality typically, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be able to enjoy what oak can give a wine only at a super premium price, right? So there you have it. That's oak. And there's plenty more to explore with oak and its use in wine because it can be used during fermentation, during aging, and it can be from different forests, which give different flavors. It's such an exciting and diverse topic, but we'll save that for another one. So that's it. Now you know the basics of oak and winemaking. If you want to learn more, subscribe to our channel below, or better yet, take our palate quiz so we compare wines specific to your tastes. See you next time.